smash the like button, and subscribe.
Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, and if you could go back in time, you could either vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Who would you rather vote for?
Trump.
Okay, Trump. And what's your birth year?
My birth year is 2002.
Okay, and you said you're 23. Okay, why do you support Trump?
The reason why I support Trump, I feel like I know not everybody likes it, but I like how he's a little bit more. I feel like as a country, we're a little bit stronger because he stands his ground with other countries versus I feel like in other, like when Biden was in, I feel like, especially coming from a military background, I feel like other countries looked at us as weak when we had
Wait, to clarify,
Biden.
do you have Bluetooth plugged in, or are you plugged into like a car or something?
No, I'm in a heavy equipment. I'm at
Are
work.
you driving it right now?
No, I'm not driving it.
Okay,
I'm parked.
okay, perfect. That's totally fine. So repeat what you just said. I apologize.
I said the reason why I support Trump is because I like how he stands his ground, and I feel like he's the only president from what I've seen where during like when they're they're doing their campaigns, the stuff he actually says he's doing, he actually does versus with other presidents. Granted, maybe I just don't pay enough attention, but I don't feel like they actually do what they say they'll do.
Okay. Well, did Trump release the Epstein files? Did he repeal and replace the ACA? Did he build the wall and make Mexico pay for it? Did he end the Russia-Ukraine war in 24 hours? Did he reduce grocery prices and housing prices?
So he didn't make everything happen. I'll tell you that. I can go back on that because I did say make everything happen. So there is some things he didn't make happen right away, like he did say.
Well, he is violating the law and not releasing the Epstein files. So when he said he was going to release them, seemingly he's not.
Didn't the Epstein files get released?
No, not all of them. Most of them have not been released.
Okay. I don't watch any mainstream media either, so it doesn't help that I try not to get swarmed in by that. I will say though, you asked someone else why they wouldn't have voted for Kamala, and the one thing Kamala. The reason why I wouldn't have voted for her is I invest in cryptocurrencies, gold and silver. I try to spread my money, and the one thing I know she had said that she would do is tax people on unrecognized gains. And I don't agree with that because I believe you should only be untaxed when you have that gain in your pocket.
So that would only be on wealth over 400 million, and that was under Biden's administration, what his policy was, not Kamala Harris's stated policy. She clarified that that wasn't her stated policy. And to clarify as well, I think that would be totally fine to tax unrealized gains at that level, and I actually think that most people saying that that's an issue, right? It's a bit ridiculous to claim that because of the fact that like there would be expectations associated with the sale of these particular types of stocks or the level of stock, so there would be an incentive for other investors to buy whenever there's a sale there, so that just creates an incentive for others to make money, and it's not going to affect the stock price very much, and it's also going to cause an increase in the level of tax revenue. So I actually unironically think, now that I've thought about it, I actually think that like it might have positive effects to some extent. So I think it's something we should try at least.
Yeah, no, I could see it if like 400 million unrecognized tax gains.
Yeah, that's exactly what she was doing, by the way. And it was a pretty small tax too. I think it's actually a pretty unique way of raising money because of the fact that there's a market incentive based upon that. And I feel like no one's ever brought this up that I've heard. No. I've never heard someone bring this up. That there's a market incentive for other investors to start investing and keep the stock price up while simultaneously, right, the fact that we would get tax revenue from the fact that they have to sell that position. And also, it would create an ability for there to be more spread of wealth because of the fact that the highest levels of earners are going to be taxed on that half to sell, and then it's going to distribute the level of wealth. So, I mean, I actually think that there's decent impacts that could result from it that people haven't brought up when talking about the unrealized tax that I didn't even think about prior as well. When we're talking about, by the way, the highest levels of income being taxed, I don't think unrealized tax and capital gains should be applicable to like average people, which by the way it already is through property tax. So
for sure, and I wish someone would take that away because I think you should be able to own your property. You're basically, I feel like at that rate renting your property from the government and you don't really own anything.
You mean renting the land or something like that? Technically, in a certain sense, if you say that. But one thing I would say in terms of that is that like I don't know how realistic it is to 100% get rid of property tax, but in the long run, like obviously you want to shift that away from property tax and and towards other taxes if you can, right? That would be a good idea, given that we're talking about an unrealized tax there. Or you could shift the burden, make it for the highest levels of property, right? And you can specifically reduce it for property in which is valued at lower extents, or lower rates, I mean. Which
Right.
obviously has
And
a
the one
bracket, so it
thing,
doesn't disincentivize to increase pricing at certain points for certain housing.
yeah, and with I spent some time overseas. I'm no longer in the military, so nobody can say that I'm coming from a military standpoint because I'm not. I want to get that clear. But when I was overseas, I got to go to UAE, which is where Dubai is at. And I looked into their country a little bit. And what I kind of like, even though most all Middle Eastern countries are dictatorships, the one thing I liked about UAE is they don't tax the working class, they only tax the businesses, which I think could be something because if you look at businesses like Walmart, if they had to pay a higher tax, at the end of the day, the government's still going to get all the money because they're going to charge the tax on the citizen, but the citizen isn't going to the store paying tax and then still paying tax on the income they're making after going to the store and paying tax. What do you think about that?
Okay,
What's your,
so
I guess, your
we want
view
so
on
then
that?
your position is you want lower taxes for working class people and more taxes for rich people. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump does the exact opposite of what you want. He decreases taxes on rich people and increases taxes on working class and lower class people because of the fact that he imposed tariffs, which disproportionately affect lower income individuals because they spend a greater proportion of their income on cost of living and consumer goods that they rely upon.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, if I remember correctly, I've been to Canada once and I talked to some Canadians, and they don't pay sales tax. The only time they pay sales tax is if they're buying alcohol or tobacco. Do you think that could benefit America?
Yeah, reductions in sales tax would be beneficial, yes. And by the way, they do pay sales tax. I'm pretty sure. But I actually agree with reductions in sales tax because of the fact that it's a regressive tax upon Americans, right? Because of the fact that it increases the cost of consumer products.
Right. No, for sure. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time.
All right, for sure.
I'll let you get on to the next one
Uh,
if you don't have a bunch of other trolls.
Okay, well, I do have a question before you go. Is there anything Trump could do that would get you to stop supporting him?
Yes,
Such
but
as?
I'm not. I couldn't think of an idea right now on the spot.
Okay. So, like, could I give you an example?
Yeah, let's throw some examples at me.
Yeah, like if he were held civilly liable of forcefully penetrating a woman's against her will, would you still vote for him?
So in regards to those things, facts and stuff, I believe that if we really dug in deep to every politician, you could find that they could be held accountable for any type of child molestation. I believe anybody who has
What?
high power and high money
Kamala
has
Harris?
had.
You think Kamala Harris is engaged in P3DS? So where was she in the Epstein files? Where was Obama in the Epstein files? Where was Biden in the Epstein files? I don't see him.
That's because I don't think people are pushing to find it.
Really? I think a lot of people are trying to push to find. I mean, we found Elon Musk begging to be on the island. We found Bill Clinton. We found Donald
Okay,
Trump. We've even
so you're
we've even
talking.
seen Donald Trump's face redacted. They redacted Donald Trump's face, but then they didn't redact the faces of some of the victims.
So you're speaking Epstein Island specific, but what about all the videos and clips of Biden that shows him weirdly touching kids in public?
I don't know what you mean by quote unquote weirdly touching kids. You mean literally like when he's at Congress and he's like with one of the children, specifically of one of his friends, right? And he's like taking a picture with everyone. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that when he was in office, I did see a lot of videos where he would
Try to get this dirt out of here.
he would weirdly be touching girls' hair, or that wasn't just normal. Like if I was a famous person and was to take pictures with people, I would maybe put my arm around their shoulder,
Like
but I
Chuffy.
wouldn't be touching their hair or stuff like that, which I've seen videos of him doing.
Of him touching someone's hair.
Girls' hair, like
Okay.
almost grooming it per se.
Okay. I definitely think that's weird, but I don't know how that's comparable to what happened with Trump, like Curse of the Galaxy.
No, my point being is I think.
And by the
that
way, if it's his grandkid, that's not even that weird, right? For like a grandparent
I
to do
can see
that.
that
Like
if it's
my
a
grandma has
grandkid.
done that to me before.
Yeah, no, if it's a family member, that's different.
So then, like, okay, I don't even know what you're really talking about. Okay, are you comparing that to Donald Trump here? One
No,
other point
I'm
I wanted
not-
to make is
I'm
that
not
apparently it's
trying
been reported on today that they have not even redacted some of the literal CSAM that exists within the context of the Epstein files, literally child sex abuse material. Some of that has been unredacted, so they redacted Trump's face, but then they didn't redact some of the CSAM, and they released it. So it looks like they are just literally stupid as okay? Like, genuinely, like, it looks like they're just stupid as it looks like they're incompetent, okay? Genuinely. How incompetent do you have to be? They can't even do basic tasks. Jesus Christ, dude. Like, I feel like this is not a hard thing to redact files. Like, hello?
I got the comments going. Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Okay.
But you got me beat. I don't know. I'm not sure where to go from here.
Okay, so then why do you still support Trump? Even though he bragged about walking into the changing rooms of naked women while they're changing without their consent, where an 18-year-old came out and said there were 4 girls as young as 15 years old in these changing rooms. Even though he said he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years. Even though he his daughter on countless occasions, even though he was held civilly liable of abusing a woman, even though he has 26 plus people that have accused him of misconduct. How come you look over all of those things?
My question is, where's the hard evidence of that
He was held civilly liable unanimously amongst a jury of 9 people for forcefully penetrating E. Jean Carroll's against her will. There were 26 plus people that accused him of misconduct. Each of the individual accounts of things that have happened to them are pieces of evidence. Okay? If 26 plus people come out and accuse someone of misconduct, of engaging in one particular type of action, right, over and over and over again, and Donald Trump himself has bragged about grabbing women by the vagina without asking, right? Wouldn't that indicate very likely to you that this has probably happened before?
Yeah, but I think all people who have money have done it, and politicians have done it.
There's not good evidence to say every single person with money and every single person in politics has done that. That's ridiculous
Correct.
to say.
It lacks evidence, but I think the evidence...
It does lack evidence. It's literally a trust me bro claim to try and act like everyone's a racist. No, not everyone is a racist. What are you talking about? Are you seriously... Your response to this is saying every rich person and every person in politics is a racist? That was your response to this? And by the way, if that were true, send them to prison. But that's not true, of course. That's ridiculous to say. You think Kamala Harris is a racist?
I personally don't even... I'm not going to hold my mouth there.
Is Kamala Harris a rapist?
I mean, I don't feel like... who knows? That's a whole nother topic.
No, there's no evidence of that at all. What the fuck do you mean? Would I have reason to say that? Wait, by the way, let me just clarify. Would I have reason to say that about you? Or would I say no until I have reason to believe otherwise?
Right, I'm going off. The reason I have otherwise is if you look at all the people that have been under, what's the
Are we
word
just going to
I'm
ignore
looking
my
for?
questions?
No, you said, why do I have reason to believe Kamala Harris?
Yeah, and
what
you're
I'm
not providing
saying-
one right now.
I am.
Oh, okay. Try.
I'm saying that
He left.